As you may know, I'm really a big fan of Dark Souls. I've played all the Dark Souls games. I love Dark Souls 1. It's like kind of one of my go-to games. Dark Souls 2 is a little controversial, and Dark Souls 3 is good, but I never replayed it. So Demon Souls on the PS5, great. And Bloodborne, not my cup of tea. Sekiro, not my cup of tea. I do plan on replaying them, but they didn't catch me quite the same way. So in 2022, when Elden Ring was coming out, I was not that excited. And here's why. I was just convinced that the Dark Souls formula was not going to work open world. You're going to take the whole point of Dark Souls is that they're these very carefully curated encounters with enemies that are balanced really particularly, and you have certain tools and the enemies have certain tools, and the designers have really designed these in such a way that navigation is a big part of it. That's one of the reasons why I'm not a big fan of Bloodborne, is it's just very frustrating for me to get around Bloodborne's map. I think a lot of the zones look too similar. It doesn't matter. But anyway, so for Elden Ring, I thought you're going to lose a lot of that Dark Souls feeling and a lot of that Dark Souls charm going open world, and I just knew that was the case. And then Elden Ring came out, and it was awesome. So Elden Ring was amazing. So my whole playthrough of Elden Ring, they give you the tools to navigate, but you still have that Dark Souls charm. You have the legacy dungeons that works a lot like regular Dark Souls levels, and it translates to the open world so well. It turns out it was like peanut butter and jelly, and I was the fool. I was completely wrong. Elden Ring is great. 2 years later, DLC comes out. So I did beat the DLC in a week. I did beat it in a week. And it was awesome the whole way through. There's this big debate online about whether it's too hard, whether it's too easy. Is there a certain way to beat Elden Ring? And I just have been spending so much time playing Elden Ring that I had to talk about it a little bit. I love Elden Ring. It's so great. The one thing that I don't vibe with as much with Elden Ring is people talk about how great the writing and great the story is. And I'm going, look, the story is great when you can eventually puzzle it together. But they tell you so little of it that once you do unearth it, it's really, really cool. But I want more of it. I want you to give it. And the NPC quest lines are impossible to follow unless you look stuff up. You have to look stuff up. There's no way you're following the NPC quest lines. Oh, this guy appeared in a volcano 12 hours later after. It's like, oh, okay. Well, he kind of told me he was going to be there. Okay, well, she said she was going to be by this boss fight, but she wasn't. Anyway, so the NPC quest lines are difficult to follow. But Elden Ring is such a cool experience because it feels like you're in the world and you're exploring, and I don't know, you're playing Elden Ring the entire time, right? Like that's the dumb thing. We got to cut that part out. But it really is, it feels like the entire time you're experiencing the world of Elden Ring. There's fights around every corner. There's new bosses. There's new zones. The new zones in the DLC are awesome. Big fan of Elden Ring.